What's going on YouTube? My name is ADCArtAttack, his name is Bob, and welcome back to a brand new drawing video. Today's video is a very special one. I will be drawing with my left and my right hand. I'll also be giving you tips and advice on how you can draw with both your dominant hand and your non-dominant hand. Or your dominant and your non-dominant. Whichever one you draw with. Actually, this video comes in response to one of my previous video, where I drew with both my left and right hand. Now, the results of that video were quite shocking indeed, because it turned out my left hand is better than my right hand. And yeah, let me just remind you all that I am right-handed and I have been drawing with this hand for 20 plus years. This thing has drawn about 3 pictures. So you should be ashamed of yourself. Now we have one problem. As we'll be drawing with both our left and our right hand, what do we do when we're drawing with one of them and the other hand is just sat there getting cold, lonely, and bored? Well, we play a video game. But what kind of game can we play while we're preoccupied with one hand? Raid Shadow Legends. So what makes this game so special and how can we play it while we work? Well, seeing as Raid is a turn-based game, we can draw and every now and then tap the screen to defeat the enemies. Raid has more than 400 champions for you to collect and personally customize, and they're so creative with their designs. Actually, you're really good. Now be warned, there is so much for you to do in this game and you will get hooked. Hey! Work! You can now play Raid on both mobile and desktop. The game is cross-device, so you can use the same user and switch between different devices whenever you want and however you want. And if I'm being honest, the PC version actually looks really nice and it runs super fast and smooth. So guys, if you would like to join me over on Raid, go to the video description, click on the special links and you will get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program to start your journey. Raid, you guys are super. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. By the way, if you're wondering why my ring is on the right hand side, well, I got married in Germany, I married a German, and tradition is that we wear it on the right hand side. Now you don't have to, you can wear it on your left hand side if you want, but because I'm an artist and because this is my dominant hand, I figured I'd run with tradition and it gives me a good excuse to wear it for my drawing videos. The more you know. But with that all being said, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. I will be talking you throughout this video about things that I've learned and things that will help you to draw with your weakest hand, things that I've learned with drawing my left hand, and hopefully just helping you try new things. It should be a fun video. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Okay, so before we actually start doing this drawing, we need to pick ourselves a model for this piece. And I figured as last time we did Charizard, it is only fair that we go right back to Generation 1 and we choose Blastoise. This is one of my favorite Pokemons growing up, and hey, this stock file of him from the Pokedex is gonna work out pretty nicely. That being said, we are gonna be changing it, and I'm gonna be putting in my own flair to it and my own style, but I'm really looking forward to this. Anyway, back to the drawing. So here we go, let's start. Now in today's video, I get to do something that I just love to do, and that is split screen. I get to run both the drawings at the same time next to each other. I made sure that I was drawing each part at the same time. That doesn't mean they took the same time to draw, it just means I drew the same areas at the same times. It should make for a really nice viewing experience actually. Now kicking things off, let me just say a couple things about how I experienced drawing this, and then I will go on to some of the tips that I would like to give to you. The right hand was just the right hand. Actually, I used the right side to map out the design for the character that I would be using. So the right hand was the original image that I had done first, whereas the left hand, I was merely copying the right hand. So it gave the left hand a little bit of an advantage in that sense. That said, I think it needed a bit of an advantage. You know, I'm kind of drawing with a hand that I don't use at all. I think this is the 4th ever drawing I've done with it. I don't know, I'll have to check that, but I think it's like the 4th. So the base sketches. Now, this is something that I just didn't really see any difficulties with either of the hands. I mean, with the right hand, it's understandable. I shouldn't really be struggling with this stage, but with the left hand, I think we match it up pretty damn well, actually. The really rough, rugged style of doing these rough guys lends itself well to the messy nature of my left hand, and actually cleaning up some of it looks pretty damn good as well. And surprisingly, when doing this, I didn't actually feel uncomfortable, which is weird because last time we did this, my left hand was in agony, and I don't know if that's just out of familiarity because I haven't actually done a left-handed piece since that last one, so there's a mystery to solve. Anyway, enough about my personal life. We're going to finish up this sketch right now, and I will get back to you in a moment when we are ready to ink. Oh, and of course, those tips you're waiting for will be coming in just a moment. Alrighty, so with the drawing phase complete, if we just take a look at them quickly side by side without any distraction, pretty good so far. Now, obviously, these are rough sketch lines, so it sort of actually favors the left hand a little bit more. And I actually made an Instagram post and a tweet about this, just asking people if they could tell the difference between which one was done with the right hand and which one was done with the left hand. Surprisingly, there was a mixed response, which was a huge boost to my ego and really made me feel better about this, but I knew when it came to the inking, this was gonna change. Okay, so starting off, we're going to grab ourselves our fine liners. Now, if you are wondering what materials I'm using in today's video, I will have them listed down below in the description to help you out. I know a lot of people are into that sort of stuff, so it's just going to be down there if you want it. If we take a close look at the left-hand side first, my left hand is extremely shaky. I have zero depth perception here, and it makes it just very difficult for me to focus on how far away I am from the paper at any given time, when I'm not touching the paper, when I am touching the paper. That makes it quite difficult. So how are we going to counter that? What kind of backup do I have for this? And this is tip number one: always have a safety net. Something to protect you from your mistakes. So what is mine? Well, fortunately, I have a very particular inking style where I do heavy line variations, and my line variations are typically there to protect me from any sort of mistakes that I make, such as where I can't connect lines, or if some of my lines are too scratchy, and because I can't just do smooth lines. Even my right hand isn't completely smooth, and now and then I have to backtrack over those lines and correct them. So this line variation just allows me to go over them and picking up some of those lines that maybe weren't perfect or weren't connecting to each other. That doesn't remove the shakiness of my hand, unfortunately. The shakiness is still there, and having a couple cups of coffee before starting this probably wasn't a good idea. The second and one of the most important tips that I can possibly give you is you need to remove your fear of using your non-dominant hand. It is a very scary thing, and especially coming off the back of doing your sketch phase, which is considered a very rough stage. It's supposed to be free, it's supposed to be loose, and it's not supposed to look the greatest. But the inking phase is when we are judged probably our harshest, because it's supposed to be clean and supposed to be neat, and it can sort of dictate how the drawing is going to go later on. Now, that's probably really heavy for me to say that to people, and I apologize for that, but you have to remember that you are using your non-dominant hand. This is a hand that you don't use regularly, in my case 4 or 5 times. I don't know how many times I've used it, but please just remember this is all practice, and it's not supposed to be taken too serious. So enjoy it, and just try to learn from it. Once you can remove that fear, and you just take it as a bit of fun, it makes it a little bit easier to get into it. So let's finish the inking up and I'll get back to you in a moment. So before we get on with the colouring, let's take a quick look at the inkings we've just done. Now, what is very obvious is the right side is obviously a lot cleaner and smoother than the left hand side. The left hand side is quite shaky, a little bit rough, and actually this is going to lend itself really well to a particular style I will be doing today. I think it looks okay, and I'm quite happy with the progress we're making so far, so let's get on with the colouring. So today I wanted to have a nostalgic style, and the nostalgic style for me is quite a gritty, rough style. As you know from many of my previous videos, I mention it quite a lot. This is a style that I love the most. However, every time I do a piece of artwork with my right hand, I always, for some reason, clean it up and go the opposite way to the way I like. So starting off with the colouring, if we look at the left hand side first, my control here is actually surprisingly very good. Once again, the lack of sort of depth perception, I really don't know what it is, but the lack of this is causing me to go out of the line sometimes, and it's just very, very difficult. I feel like my nerves aren't as good in my left hand to the point where I can't tell when I'm touching the paper. I can't feel it. It's very weird, but the rest of the way, it's actually playing really nice considering I do tend to brush off to the left hand side every time that I do my shading. It actually favors the left hand a lot more, and this is again going back to what I said about playing into the strengths of the hand that you're using. When I'm colouring with my left hand, I tend to be pulling the pen towards myself. That just tends to be the direction that I am shading in, whereas every time I shade with my right hand, I'm going away from myself, which is just not natural for me, and it just doesn't feel comfortable, and I really don't know why I do this. Okay, so while we're at this point and before we get on to just my quiet period where I let you sit back and relax and enjoy this, let me just talk quickly about my colouring process, because I'm sure many of you are wondering. Now, I have a particular way of coloring where I like to go from light colors to my dark colors. Now, you don't have to do this. Some people like to go from dark to light. It's entirely up to you. There is no right or wrong way with art at all. You can do anything that you want as long as you are doing what you want. And the way I pick colors is quite simple. I look at them and I work with them. It really doesn't matter too much. Whenever I'm trying to do my artwork, I always try to... well, I always want to make them gritty. That's the idea anyway, and by that, it sort of means that they are messy, but they have flow to them. You see, I like to always make life easier for myself, and when I'm doing something like this, I like to think that it wouldn't really matter too much what kind of colors I chose for, say, the shadows. The highlights are probably quite important for me to be choosing those light aqua blues, but when it comes to the shadows, I'm pretty sure that I could get away with most colors as a shadow. And with the strokes being so rough and so rugged, I think that even if I go really dark by accident, you can make it play into it by just intentionally making a mess. I don't know, I've just always thought that the messy side of art is much better than the cleanliness side, because if you're going too clean, it's a lot easier to notice a mistake, whereas if you're messy, a mistake can be quite a good thing, and it can actually change the course of the artwork to something you didn't plan originally. So with that all being said, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sit back and let you enjoy the rest of this video, because I am aware that I have been speaking a lot today, and I will catch you at the end where we will review both of them side by side and hopefully surprise you and myself. Catch you in a moment. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. The drawings are complete and I am super... Actually, yeah. I'm really happy with this. I like both of them. They do have very distinct styles and very different styles, and we will look into them each individually in just a moment, but I would like you to let me know in the comments down below which side is your favorite. And with that said, let's have a look at the left-hand side first. So this side is extremely gritty and rough, and it just definitely suits what I like. It is not clean, it's not supposed to be clean, and I just really admire this style. I find it to be a little bit more artistic. The line work would probably be the only thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in. However, if it wasn't down to the line work, I probably wouldn't have chosen this particular style to shade him in, so give and take a little bit, huh? I think the biggest thing to take away from this drawing and what I learned by doing it is that my left hand is not terrible when it comes to shading and coloring. Other aspects I do need to work on, but for the most part, very happy with it. Now taking a look over on the right hand side, this version of Blastoise is, well, I like it. It is pretty much exactly what I had planned out in my mind. It is much cleaner than I would have liked to have had it, but it does look pretty nice. Now, I did take inspiration from animes such as Dragon Ball for this particular style. I don't know if you can see it. And of course, when referencing the source material of the Pokédex, we can see some slight differences in the style that I went with. And now for probably the most shocking piece of information, this is where I tell you how long each of them took. So we're going to start with the right hand side first, and this one took me 3 hours and 14 minutes, which is a pretty impressive time. It's not too long and it's not too fast. I'm quite satisfied with that, especially considering the fact that we were planning out the drawing as we were going. So what happened with the left hand side? Well, let me just remind you that I didn't plan it. The left hand side was drawn by copying the right hand side, so there was a little bit, it was able to be done a little bit quicker than the right hand side, but the time for the left hand side is really an astonishing 2 hours and 43 minutes. So that puts it at almost exactly half an hour faster, which if we were to factor in the time of planning that design, had I done it on the left hand side first, I reckon they would both have worked out to the exact same time. That is freaky. So ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. Were you surprised by the results of this video? I know I was, and once again, quite frustrated at my right hand, that the left hand, in my opinion, was superior in terms of the style that I was going for. The right hand was obviously superior in its sort of cleanliness and precision, but the left hand yielded results that I could only dream of getting with my right hand. I really do like the style, I really did enjoy making this video, and I do hope that you enjoyed watching it. If there is anything you'd like me to do in the future, please leave a comment down below and let me know. From myself and from Bob, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.